My name is Evelyn Moore. I was 58 years old when I died in a hospital bed, clutching a photo of my only son, Matthew. 10 years earlier, he had been shot and killed in a robbery gone wrong. I thought I had forgiven the man who took his life, but deep down, bitterness was eating me alive. Before all of this, my life was simple. It was small, but it was full. I was a single mom. My husband left when Matthew was just a toddler, so it was always just the two of us against the world. I worked as a receptionist at a doctor's office in our little town in Pennsylvania. I filed papers, answered phones, and lived for 5 o'clock when I could go home and be a mom. Matthew, he was my whole world. He had this laugh that could fill up a whole house. He wasn't just a good kid, he was a good person. He was studying to be a history teacher. He wanted to work with kids who didn't have a lot, to show them that where they came from didn't have to be where they ended up. He was my pride, my joy, my everything. Then came the night that broke the world in two. He was 22. He'd just finished a late study session at the university library and stopped at a little corner store to grab a soda for the drive home. He walked in right in the middle of a robbery. The kid robbing the place, he was only 19. The police said he panicked. He saw Matthew and he just fired. My boy, my Matty, he was gone. They caught the kid who did it. His name was Dante. I went to every single court date. I sat on those hard wooden benches and I stared at the back of his head. I wanted him to feel my eyes burning into him. I wanted him to feel just a tiny piece of the pain that had ripped my life apart. I listened to him get sentenced to life in prison, and I felt nothing. Just a cold, hard emptiness. My friends from church would hug me. They'd say, "Evelyn, you have to forgive him for your own peace." And I would nod. I would say the words, "I forgive him." I even said it out loud in our prayer group one Wednesday night. I performed forgiveness. I wore it like a costume. But at night, when the house was quiet, I would lie in bed and the anger would come. It felt like a hot poison in my veins. I'd see Dante's face. I'd see the mugshot from the newspaper, and I would whisper prayers to God that were filled with rage. I'd ask God why my son, who was so good, was gone, while that boy, who was so lost, still got to breathe the air. For 10 years I lived like that, a walking wound. The bitterness became a part of me. It was a cold, heavy stone in my chest. It was there when I woke up. It was there when I went to sleep. I didn't realize it, but that stone was killing me, slowly, quietly, and then, one day, it did. At 58, my heart just gave out. A massive heart attack. I remember the pain, like a fire spreading through my chest. I remember my sister, Carol, screaming my name. I remember the paramedics and the blurry lights of the hospital ceiling, and I remember clutching that worn-out photo of Matthew. It was a picture of him on his high school graduation day, smiling that big, bright smile. Then, everything went quiet. The pain was gone. The beeping machines faded away. The fear, it just dissolved. I felt a gentle lift, like a feather being carried on a soft breath. I wasn't in my body anymore. I could see the doctors working on me, see my sister crying in the corner, but it felt distant, like watching a movie. The gray hospital room dissolved. The darkness that came next wasn't scary. It was just a pause, a quiet, waiting darkness. Then, far away, I saw a light. It wasn't a bright, blinding light. It was warm, golden. It pulled me forward, not with force, but with a feeling of homecoming. I found myself standing in a field. The wheat, or whatever it was the color of pure honey, and it swayed gently, but there was no wind. The sky above was a color I'd never seen before, a soft, pearly swirl of lavender and gold. Everything was perfectly still, perfectly silent. The silence itself felt alive. It felt like love. And then I heard a voice. It didn't come through my ears. It bloomed inside my chest, a sound that felt more ancient and familiar than my own heartbeat. "Evelyn." I turned, and I saw him. It was Jesus. But it wasn't what I expected. There was no long, flowing white robe, no glowing halo from a Sunday school book. He was just there. His presence changed the very air around me. It was like suddenly being able to breathe after a lifetime of holding my breath. The air grew warm, and it seemed to hum with a gentle energy, a peace so profound it made my soul ache with relief. He was wearing simple clothes, the color of desert sand, but his form seemed woven from light itself, not a glaring light, but a soft, internal light, like the heart of a candle flame. He wasn't looking at me, he was looking into me, and his eyes, oh, his eyes, they weren't blue or brown, they were the color of pure compassion. Looking into them, I didn't feel judged for my secret anger or my bitterness. Instead, I saw myself reflected back, but not the broken, tired Evelyn. I saw the Evelyn I was created to be whole, strong, and full of light. For the first time, I saw myself the way he saw me, and I just started to weep. Not from sadness, but from a kind of release I had never known. He didn't speak right away, he just stood with me in that perfect silence. He held out his hand, and when I took it, it wasn't a physical touch. It was a feeling of completion. Like all the shattered, jagged pieces of my heart were being gently put back together, perfectly aligned. The warmth from his hand spread up my arm and filled my entire being. He smiled, and the whole field of gold seemed to grow brighter. "Come," he said, his voice a gentle melody inside my soul. "There is something you need to see." He led me through the field of wheat toward a river. It wasn't made of water. It was a flowing river of crystal-clear light, shimmering and moving with a life of its own. It made a soft, chiming sound, like thousands of tiny glass bells. I stood on the bank, just looking at its beauty, feeling the last 10 years of pain start to wash away. And then I looked across the river, and my heart stopped. It was him. It was Matthew, my son. He was standing on the other side, and he looked perfect. He was whole, radiant. He was wearing a simple white shirt, and he was laughing, his head thrown back just like he used to do when he heard a good joke. He looked so happy, so full of life and joy, it took my breath away. "Matty!" I screamed his name. My voice was choked with tears. "My boy!" He turned, and his smile was brighter than the Sunday. "Mom!" he called back, and he waved, his whole face lit up with love. Oh, that beautiful face! My heart felt like it was going to burst with joy. I wanted to run, to plunge into that river of light and hold my son again. But then I saw someone was standing next to him. Another young man. He was standing beside Matthew, and he had his hand on Matthew's shoulder. They were smiling at each other, like old friends. I squinted, trying to see his face. There was something familiar about him. A knot of confusion tightened in my stomach. Jesus squeezed my hand gently. "Look closer, Evelyn." I looked, and the world fell out from under me. The face of the young man standing next to my son, laughing with my son. It was Dante, the boy who killed him. I stumbled back. A scream was trapped in my throat. I couldn't breathe. It couldn't be. It was wrong. All wrong. He was supposed to be in prison. He was supposed to be suffering. He was a murderer. What was he doing here? What was he doing next to my son? I turned to Jesus, my eyes wild with confusion and a fresh wave of that old, familiar rage. "No," I whispered, shaking my head. "No, why is he here? He doesn't belong here. He killed my baby." Tears were streaming down my face now, hot and angry. All the peace I had felt just moments before was gone, replaced by a storm of pain. Jesus looked at me, his eyes filled not with judgment, but with a deep, heartbreaking sadness for me. His voice was gentle, but the truth in it was as solid as a mountain. "He called on me in prison, Evelyn," he said softly. 5 years after he was sentenced, he fell to his knees on the cold floor of his cell, and he wept. He repented. He gave his life to me. He is my child now, too. The words hit me harder than a physical blow. I couldn't accept it. It wasn't fair. Justice was supposed to mean he paid for what he did for the rest of his life. But my son, I choked out. "Look what he did to my son." Across the river, Matthew looked at me. His smile was gone, replaced with a look of pure, gentle love. He looked at Dante, and then he looked back at me. He nodded, a silent message passing between us. "Your son forgave him the moment he arrived here," Jesus said, his voice washing over me. Matthew's heart was free. "But you, my daughter, you have been the one in a prison. You have been chained by bitterness for 10 years. I fell to my knees in the golden wheat. It was true. A sob tore through my body, a sound of agony from the deepest part of my soul. I had lied. To my friends, to my church, to myself. I had never forgiven him. I had held on to my hate like it was a precious treasure, like it was the only thing connecting me to my son's memory. I thought my anger honored him. But it had only been a poison, a heavy anchor dragging my own soul into the darkness. I didn't know how, I cried, my face buried in my hands. I tried. I said the words, but my heart was so full of hate. I couldn't let it go. Jesus knelt beside me. He didn't touch me, but I felt his presence wrap around me like a warm blanket. Forgiveness is not a feeling, Evelyn, he said. It is a choice. It is the key that unlocks your own cage. It does not excuse what he did. It does not erase the pain. It sets you free. He gently placed his hand over my heart. I could feel a strange, cold, heavy knot deep inside my chest. It was the bitterness. It felt like a tangled ball of black thorns, and I realized I had been carrying it for so long, I had forgotten what it felt like to not have it there. Watch what happens when you truly choose to forgive, he whispered. I took a shaky breath. I looked across the river, at Dante's face. For the first time, I didn't see a monster. I saw a scared kid who made a terrible, life-shattering mistake. I saw a soul that Jesus had seen fit to save, and I saw my own son, standing beside him, waiting. I forgive him, I whispered, and this time I meant it. I said it again louder. I forgive you, Dante. The moment the words left my lips, something happened inside me. The black knot of thorns in my chest, it shattered. It didn't just dissolve, it exploded into a million pieces of dust. And where it had been, a warm, brilliant light poured in, filling every empty, broken space inside of me. It was a light so pure, so full of peace and joy, that I gasped. I could breathe. I could truly, deeply breathe for the first time in a decade. The weight was gone. The stone was gone. I was light. I was free. Across the river, Matthew's face broke into that beautiful smile again, and he started to run. He ran right into the river of light, and it didn't slow him down. He came splashing through it, and the light clung to him like sparkling diamonds. He ran right to me, and he threw his arms around me. I held my son. I held my boy. I buried my face in his shoulder, and I could smell the familiar scent of him, that mix of laundry soap and sunshine that I thought I had forgotten. I was home. Mom, he whispered in my ear, his voice full of love. I've been waiting for you to let go. I cried, but they were tears of pure joy now. I held him tight and never wanted to leave. I looked at Jesus, who was smiling at us both. Can I stay? I begged him. Please, I want to stay here with him. It was the only thing I wanted, to stay in this peace, in this light, with my son forever. The thought of going back to that broken world, to that broken body, it was unbearable. Jesus' smile was kind, but his eyes held a gentle purpose. Your work on earth is not finished, Evelyn. But what work? I asked, clinging to Matthew. I have nothing left. You have your story, he said. There are other hearts chained just like yours was. They are trapped in prisons of their own making, weighed down by bitterness and unforgiveness. You have held the key in your hand. Now, go show them how to use it. He looked at me with so much love, and I knew he was right. Matthew kissed my forehead. It's okay, Mom. I'll be right here waiting. It's not goodbye. Just see you later. He let go of me, and the light of the field began to fade. The beautiful chiming sound of the river grew fainter. I felt that gentle pull again, but this time it was pulling me backward, away from the light, away from my son. I love you, Maddie, I cried out. I love you too, Mom. His voice echoed back as the darkness returned. The next thing I knew, I was gasping for air. A violent, painful gasp. My chest felt like it had been struck by lightning. The lights above me were blinding. I heard a voice yell, "We've got a pulse! She's back!" My eyes fluttered open. I was in the hospital room. A doctor was shining a light in my eyes. My sister was sobbing, holding my hand. I was alive. I just started weeping. Not from pain or from the sadness of leaving my son. I was weeping from relief, from the freedom. The nurses thought I was hysterical from the trauma. They didn't understand that I had just left heaven. The doctors told me I had been clinically dead for 11 minutes. They couldn't explain how I came back with no brain damage. They called it a miracle. I knew it was more than that. It was a message. Jesus sent me back to tell you what I saw. He sent me back to tell you that forgiveness isn't about letting someone off the hook. It has nothing to do with them. It has everything to do with you. Holding on to bitterness, anger, and hatred doesn't punish the person who hurt you. It punishes you. It's a poison you drink, hoping the other person will die. It's a cage you build for yourself, brick by painful brick. I know there is someone watching this right now, and you are holding on to a pain so deep you think it will destroy you if you let it go. You think your anger is all you have left, but it's not. It's the one thing standing between you and your healing. It's the one thing blocking the light. Jesus showed me that His love is big enough to cover everyone, even the people we think are unforgivable. And He showed me that forgiveness is not just an idea, it's a doorway. It's the doorway out of the prison of your past and into a life of peace. You don't have to feel it to do it. You just have to choose it. Just whisper the words. Let the key turn in the lock. Let go. Let the light in. He's waiting for you.